Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aina Najwa Binti Ahmad from RY41. Today I will present about this mini project from the subject PGT 212 Electronic Communication Technology. For the mini project, the title that I got is to design and analyze of two transistor AM radio receiver circuit. For this mini project, what I must do is for this mini project is introduction, methodology, circuit analysis, result, discussion and conclusion. Firstly, the introduction for the topic that I got is this two transistor AM radio circuit is called mini radio. It uses only two transistors and a few passive components which makes it very easy to be constructed. Although the circuit is very simple, it functions very well without external antenna or ground connection. The transistor Q3 works as a feedback regulated HF amplifier and functions as modulator at the same time. A radio receiver is the opposite of a radio transmitter. It uses an antenna to capture radio wave, process those waves to exact only those waves that are vibrating at the desired frequency, extract the audio signal that will add to those waves, amplify the audio signal, and finally play them on a speaker. Next is for methodology. Methodology is about the circuit that I construct in multisim. As you can see here, this is the circuit that I construct in multisim. The circuit is a simple AM transmitter circuit with limited power output to match the FCC regulation and still produce enough amplitude modulation of voice in a medium wave band to satisfy the personal need. Based on this diagram, I also list the component that I use for this mini project. The component that I use is 5 resistor, 3 capacitor, 1 variable capacitor, 2 type of transistor, and this one DC power, 4 ground, and to give it the power, I use function generator, and for the output, I use oscilloscope. The circuit diagram above has two parts, which is an audio amplifier and a radio frequency oscillator. The oscillator is built around Q3 and the relay component. This Q3 is provided with regenerative feedback by connecting the base and collector of Q3 to opposite end of the tank circuit. The Q3 is the first transistor, and for the second transistor is Q1. Next is for circuit analysis. As we know, the topic that I got is to design and analyze of two transistor AM radio receiver circuit. So, for the circuit analysis, I focus for radio receiver. Radio receiver is the opposite of radio transmitter. It uses an antenna to capture radio wave, process those waves to extract only those waves that are vibrating at the desired frequency, extract the audio signal that will add to those waves, amplify the audio signal, and finally play them on the speaker. The component that is used for radio receiver is antenna. Antenna is to capture the radio wave. Next is RF amplifier is a sensitive amplifier that amplifies the very radio frequency RF signal from the antenna so that the signal can be processed by the tuner. Next is tuner, a circuit that can accept signal of a particular frequency from a mix of signal of different frequency. The next component is detector, responsible for separating the audio information from the carrier wave. And finally is for audio amplifier. This component job is to amplify the weak signal that comes from a detector so that it can be heard. This can be done using a simple transistor amplifier circuit. For this radio receiver, we can see it by use this block diagram, where the signal will come to antenna and that go to RF amplifier, to tuner, to the detector, and audio amplifier, and lastly to the speaker. And as with I can relate it and with the circuit diagram that I construct by using multisim. The design is as simple as it can be. Just a couple of general purpose transistors and a few other basic components for configuring what looks like a nice little AM radio receiver unit. The circuit functioning is pretty basic. The internal coil collector with MW signal present in the air. The timmer set and the tunes the frequency which needs to be passed across to the next stage. The next stage will comprise Q3 functions as the high frequency amplifier as well as a demodulator. This Q3 transistor accepts the audio from the receiver signal and amplifier it to some extent so that it may be fed to the next stage. The final stage employs the transistor Q1, which operates as a simple audio amplifier. The demodulated signal is fed to the base of Q1 for further amplification. The Q1 effectively amplifies the signal so that it becomes audible over the connected speaker loud and clear. For the result, I can show you the detail in multisim. This is the circuit simple AM radio receiver that I construct in multisim. For the function generator, the frequency that I use is 1 kHz. For the amplitude is 10 Vp. And I use this oscilloscope to show the input and output for this circuit. As you can see here, the input is the yellow color and the output for the circuit is the green color. The input is in sine wave, but the output is still in sine wave, but it's clamping here, and it's like a square waveform. And for the output is on channel 2, and the peak to peak for the output is 5.83 volt. And for the final part for this mini project is discussion. As the discussion, the task that I have done is to design and analyze of two transistor AM radio receiver circuit. Based on this lab, I need to construct the two transistor AM radio receiver using multisim. It's just a simple AM radio receiver circuit. Next, the equipment that I need to test the circuit is function generator. I use 1 kHz for the frequency and 10 Vp for the amplitude. After that, to show the output, I use the oscillator to see the input and output waveform for the circuit. And as you can see, the input is in the sine wave and the output in the square waveform. And finally, as the conclusion, I am able to finish this mini project with the task given to me. The task that I got is to design and analyze of two transistor AM radio receiver circuit. As we can see at the result, the output is clamping and make it look like a square waveform. From there, I can analyze that the performance of the actual circuit practically and the achievement of this task. In the discussion part, it is consisted into two parts where it discusses on the result performance and overall of this mini project. From this mini project, I can run smoothly the circuit by following steps to design the circuit until I am able to run the circuit. That's all from me. Thank you.